Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was hatched on a chilly day in Salzburg, Austria, on January 27, 1756, to the proud parents of Leopold Mozart and Anna Maria Potter. Wolfgang displayed his talents at a young age.
I think that I may say without prejudice to the memory of this great composer that the scale most clearly preponderates on the side of Mozart in this comparison. As I have already stated, he was a composer when he did not much exceed the age of 4. His extemporary compositions also, of which I was the witness, prove his genius and invention to have been most astonishing. Lest, however, I should insensible become too strongly his panegyrist. Permit me to subscribe myself. Sir, your most humble, faithful servant, Daines Barrington.
Leopold, noticing his son's extraordinary talent for music, began to teach him and brought him and his older sister, Nannerl, around an epic journey of Europe. The word of the young prodigy's talent spread quickly. Wolfgang was an interesting child whose personality stayed with him throughout adulthood. Later in his life, he was quite the entertainer and gambler. Let's watch the action.
Is that the doors are open for us quite often, both day and night, and we still do not come out, except when one pulls us out by force. See what I did there?
Anna Maria was always a nurturing mother to Wolfgang and Nana, while Leopold took care of business. When Wolfgang was a young man of 21, his mother, Anna Maria, accompanied him on a job-hunting tour that took him to Augsburg, Mannheim, and Paris. While in Paris, she took ill and died in July 3rd, 1778, of an undiagnosed illness. In a letter to Leopold, she wrote her last words.
I must stop, for my arms and eyes are aching.
3 weeks later, Anna Maria was dead. Mozart wrote,
Flickered out like a candle.
Wolfgang did not take the news of his mother's death well.
The first brought tears of sorrow to my eyes, because I was reminded of the sad death of my dear departed mother, and everything came back to me so vividly. As long as I live, I shall never forget it. You know that I have never seen anyone die, although I had often wished to. How cruel that my first experience should be the death of my mother. I dreaded that moment most of all as I prayed earnestly to God for strength. My prayer was heard and strength was given to me. Sad as your letter made me, yet I was beside myself with joy when I heard that you had taken it all as it should be taken, and that thus I need not have fears for my most beloved father and my dearest sister.
Despite the startling news, it seems Wolfgang was able to come to terms with her death.
Her time had come and God wanted to take her to himself.
In 1781, Mozart moved to Vienna, where he took residence with the Weber family, who, after the death of Fridolin Weber, supported themselves by taking in lodgers. He began to fall in love with one daughter, Constance, whom he saw as a Cinderella figure. His father was adamantly opposed to any hint Mozart made of marriage with Constance, and when they eventually did get married in 1782, Leopold's begrudging consent included a notice that Mozart could no longer rely on him for any financial support in the future. Thus, the strained relationship between Mozart and his father finally reached a breaking point, granting Mozart true independence for the first time in his life.
But the middle one, my dear Constanza, is the martyr of the family, and probably for that very reason is the kindest-hearted and cleverest, and, in short, the best of them all. She makes herself responsible for the whole household, and yet, in their opinion, she does nothing right. Oh, my most beloved father, I could fill whole sheets with descriptions of all the scenes that I have witnessed in that house. She is not ugly, but at the same time far from beautiful. Her whole beauty consists in two little black eyes and a pretty figure. She has no wit, but she has enough common sense to enable her to fulfill her duties as a wife and mother. It is a downright lie that she is inclined to be extravagant. On the contrary, she is accustomed to be shabbily dressed. For the little that her mother has been able to do for her children, she has done for the two others. But never for Constanza. I love her and she loves me with all her heart. Tell me whether I could wish myself a better wife.
Leopold was always proud of his son's genius. Wolfgang left home for good in 1781, when instead of returning from a stay in Vienna with his employer, Archbishop Colloredo, he remained in the city to pursue a freelance career. This effort was to a fair degree successful. Wolfgang achieved great fame and was for a time quite prosperous, though poor planning later changed his status. The move almost certainly aided Wolfgang's music development. The great majority of his most celebrated works were composed in Vienna, as indicated by Mozart's return letters, which alone survive. It becomes clear that Leopold was strongly opposed to the Vienna move, wanting Wolfgang to return to Salzburg. A fairly harsh family quarrel resulted. Leopold was also strongly opposed to Wolfgang's marriage to Constanze Weber in 1782, and gave his permission late, reluctantly, and under duress. Biographers differ on the extent that Constanze was later snubbed by Leopold, if at all during her visit with Wolfgang, July to October 1783, to Salzburg. The Grove Dictionary calls the visit not entirely happy. In 1785, Leopold visited Wolfgang and Constanze in Vienna, at a time when his son's career success was at its peak. He witnessed firsthand his son's success as a performer, and on February 12th heard Joseph Haydn's widely quoted words of praise upon hearing the string quartets Wolfgang dedicated to him.
Before God, and as an honest man, I tell you your son is the greatest composer known to me either in person or by name. He has taste, and furthermore, the most profound knowledge of composition.
The visit was the last time that Leopold saw his son, though they continued to correspond, and Wolfgang sometimes sent copies of his piano concertos and string quartets for Leopold and Nano to perform with friends. This is the last letter found describing Leopold's attitude towards Mozart's work at the time.
And I thank my God for graciously granting me the opportunity, you know what I mean, of learning that death is the key which unlocks the door to our true happiness. I hope and trust that while I am writing this, you are feeling better. But if contrary to all expectation you are not recovering, implore you by, not to hide it from me, but to tell me the whole truth, or get someone to write to me, so that as quickly as it is humanly possible I may come to your arms. I entreat you by all that is sacred to both of us.
On December 5th, 1791, Mozart's short life came to an end in Vienna. He composed over 600 works. These remain among the most beautiful bird songs ever composed.